Hi, Tracy Hugelmeyer here from VintagepreneurUniversity.com, where I help vintage sellers start, grow, and scale their business on Etsy. I also own my own vintage business, Rustic Eye, that I've had on Etsy since 2013. And today I'm super excited for a brand new episode of Friday Feedback. And I'm going to introduce you to Marcia at Suburban Vintage in just a minute. But before we get started, if you'd like to find out how to get your own free review, all you need to do is become an Etsy Junkie. It's completely free. You can check out how to do that in the notes below. Okay, we're going to get started with Marcia's review. Marcia's been selling on Etsy since 2010, which is amazing. I like to vary the reviews that I do so that we can all learn from each other. Anything from a brand new shop to someone with years and years of experience like Marcia is more than welcome. I'm always learning. We're all always learning. So thank you, Marcia, for volunteering your shop. I'm going to go ahead and jump behind the scenes and we will get started. All right, so here we are in Marcia's adorable shop, Suburban Vintage, and I'm going to link to her shop below so you can go check it out as well. Right away, you can tell that this is somebody who's been doing this for a long time. She's got, great photos and just really has that kind of overall vibe going. I love the, the branding, the vintage look here. It's really, really cute. I always recommend that even though this is a super cute little photo here and it's great for branding purposes, like if you can put it in different places in your shop, but it's great if you can include your own face so that people can get that personal connection with you. You've probably heard me mention that before in my other reviews. So right there, and then also right here, I would recommend that when you're talking about yourself, that you put your face so that people can just see who it is that they're talking to. Etsy is such a unique platform in that we have that ability to kind of have those personal connections that you don't necessarily get in other marketplaces. We'll say, like Amazon, for example. So whenever you can, try to use that to your advantage. And that's just one little way that you can do that. Marcia, again, has been on Etsy since 2010. That's like a forever. And she has over 1,000 sales, which is amazing. So Marcia, you're obviously doing a ton of things right, and you should keep doing the things that are working for you. One disclaimer that I always like to give when I am doing my reviews is never go in and change everything at once. No matter who's telling you what changes or what if you should make changes or, giving you a suggestion or whatever, even me, only change things that make sense to you and do it strategically and thoughtfully. In other words, keep an eye on things as you make the changes to see what's working and what's not working. And don't change things, especially for an established seller like Marcia, that are already working for you. All right? So yeah, I wouldn't recommend that you get rid of this cute little vintage lady here. Just put her in different places in your shop and in your branding and switch out your face when you're feeling brave enough to do so if you'd like to. I'm seeing a lot of kind of white space in your branding, which is not a bad thing at all. That's actually a very effective way to brand. And in your case, I think that not having a banner up here is working just fine for you. So I don't think you need to change that. A banner is a personal choice and it's something that can add to your branding, but it also can, just be using up, if it's not done nicely and correctly, then I don't want to say correctly, but if it doesn't add to your brand, then you don't necessarily need a banner. The only thing that I would recommend here in your shop title, I love how that looks and how you kind of write that out. And I see that you also put that in your announcement, I think, if I was correct. Yeah, right here. So it's kind of like a tagline for you, which I love. I think having a tagline is great. The only thing is you don't want to have that in your title because the way that, and this is something that only, outside search engines are going to look at. As far as we know, Etsy isn't even looking at this point in time. But for outside search engines like Google, the way that the search works is when you have a separator in here like this, you are basically breaking apart these as search terms. So if somebody was to search for vintage unique, for example, the search engines wouldn't really necessarily put that together because they're such broad terms. So if somebody searched for vintage, there's probably a bazillion things that come out, right? And the same for all of these. So instead, you want to try and optimize this space right here, your shop title, even though there's not a lot of room there, with your 2 to 3 broad keyword terms for your shop. So let's say that, and I don't know what your, main things are at this point in time, but I'm just going to, as an example, let's say you sold a lot of vintage Tupperware, then you maybe want to put that in your tagline, comma, something else, like vintage linens and textiles, or books and ephemera, vintage books and ephemera. I do notice you have a lot of books, so that may be something you want to put in your title. And just kind of narrow it down to 2 to 3 main things. You're probably not going to be able to capture everything because I do see you offer a wide variety of things, but just 2 to 3 things. And then also once you put them here, you're going to want to repeat those in the different parts in your places in your shop, like in your announcement, which you kind of do right here. Vintage books, vintage home goods, vintage linens, and more. That is perfect. If you can fit that in your shop title, that's what you should have there. So, and whatever you can fit there, that's what you should have there. That's perfect. And then you're repeating it right here at the top of your announcement, which is perfect. And you should also put it in your about section, which I took a quick look at your about section. I think it's so cute. I love this collector, noun, a person or thing that collects. I love this so much. Definitely leave it in. But at the top right here, in a natural way, you can also include it just like you did up here. Welcome to Suburban Vintage, vintage books, vintage home goods, vintage linens, and more. That is a natural way written for humans, so you're not like keyword stuffing necessarily, but you're repeating those keywords in the main places in your shop, which helps reinforce to the outside search engines like Google what it is that you have to offer. So you're more likely to get more of that traffic for vintage books, vintage home goods, and vintage linens. So hopefully that makes sense. Okay, the next thing that I wanted to talk about is Marcia specifically asked me. She said, this was right around when free shipping came out or a little bit after. She said, I switched all my listings to free shipping. I believe that's what she had said. And I might switch them all back. I'm not sure yet. I'm trying to decide, and I'm curious what you think. Here's the deal. What I think is it's going to be different for every single shop, and unfortunately or fortunately too, it's just a personal business decision, and it's going to take probably a lot of, figuring out what is selling best for you with shipping, without, playing with it. Changing it around I think is perfectly fine. I don't think changing it around is going to hurt you in any way. I noticed that you offer free shipping on a lot of your books, which I think is good because you can use media mail, or I think that's what it's called, which is super inexpensive shipping. And I would recommend kind of the same on anything where you're selling something really light. Those are usually the best things to use free shipping on. It gets more complicated when you have bigger items, and again, that's a personal preference. I do have a whole playlist series of kind of, my initial thoughts on free shipping, the things to think about on if you should offer free shipping. I'm going to link to that video for both Marcia, or not that video, but that playlist. There's several videos in it for Marcia and anyone else listening who would like to check that out. All right, next down to Marcia's reviews. They're amazing, awesome. I love seeing this. This book arrived very quickly. Down here, quick ship. Down here, I received my package quickly. Marcia, I can't tell you how positive that is for your brand and your shop. Anytime you can ship quickly, it is going to help you immensely. So when I say quickly, If you can ship the next business day, that is ideal. I know that's not possible for everybody, but if it's something that you can somehow pull off, I absolutely recommend it. It's going to help your success in a big, big way because people like receiving things quickly. They get impressed when they receive things quickly. And also, of course, you're up against the super quick shipping out there like, gosh, am I bringing up Amazon again? I guess I am. Like Amazon. So if you can ship quickly, you're going to reap the benefits of that. And I know that there are people who aren't able to ship super quickly, and please don't feel bad. You can only do what you can do. And also everybody is in different levels of where you're at with your business. When I first started, I didn't ship every day. There was no way I could. But now I'm doing this as a mostly full-time business. So I do make it a priority to ship every day. Next business day, that is. So I don't ship on the weekends, Saturday, and of course not Sunday. 2 more things about shipping quickly. One, if you're not shipping the next business day and you can at all pull it off during the busy holiday season, try that because it becomes even more important to people during the holidays to get their gifts quickly or their orders quickly, usually because they're gifts. And 2, it entices people, maybe more than, I don't want to say more than, but it's definitely high up there on how much it entices people to leave a positive review. Look right here. Most of her, or a majority of her mentions have shipping in it. So that is a big motivator to encourage people to go leave those 5-star reviews. So that's another reason why shipping quickly is really, really important and can really help you. Okay? And Marcia, I noticed that you're using updates, and actually I'm curious to ask you how that's working for you, because personally I haven't used updates in a long, long time, and I usually notice that most people do the same. They leave it, their last update is maybe like a year or 2 years ago. So I'm just curious how that's going for you. And if you can comment below and let us know if you think that there's a really good benefit or any benefit to having those updates in a somewhat consistent manner, that would be super, super helpful to know. All right, so down to her shop policies. Now, I think you're using the older template because when I look at mine, this is my policies really quick, it looks a little different. So I think you're using the old template, which for anyone who is newer, within the last couple years or so, you don't even have the option of using the older policies, but it looks like possibly Marcia is using some, at least part of the older template for policies. So I know that Etsy has said that if you update to the new policies, you do get a small advantage in the Etsy search algorithm. So that's something you might want to consider. And if there's anything that you're scared will be left out or whatever, I would recommend that you put that down into frequently asked questions, because you can put anything that you want there. So that's just something to think about if you haven't done that. And I notice here's another little blurb about your keywords, your top keywords. So you've already got this down, vintage books, vintage Tupperware, and other vintage kitchen items, vintage toys, and more. So again, just choose 2 or 3 of those for your shop title and you should be good to go. Like, what are your most, best sellers maybe? What are your categories that sell best? And that's maybe what you want to optimize for, okay? Also, I was a little bit confused here because I saw in your policies down below that you talk about the payment accepted, PayPal and Etsy direct checkout. And then you talk about that it's possible to use a credit card using PayPal without having a PayPal account, and how to do that. But if you're accepting Etsy payments, then that really shouldn't matter unless I'm missing something. So I was just a little bit confused there. And what I wanted to point out about that, if I'm a little bit confused, then your customers might be a little confused and they might not even be looking at these shop policies. But if they do, you might just want to check that out to see if you can tweak that a little to make it consistent. And I don't even know if that's just me, the way I'm reading it. So take a look at that and see if there's anything there. And then with your returns and exchanges, kind of same thing here. I noticed you said that you will accept returns under some circumstances, but up here it says, I gladly accept returns. And I know that's not your wording, that's Etsy's wording, but there's that inconsistency there. So you don't want to confuse your customers. I would say, decide one way or the other. Are you going to accept returns or not? Because if this for some reason went to like an Etsy review and you decided, no, I'm not going to accept the return because of the circumstances, but up here you say, I gladly accept returns, you're probably going to lose your case because you do say that right here. And then the other reason is that you just want to make sure that you're as consistent as possible so that you don't have confusion. And anytime, it's always my recommendation that you do accept returns, exchanges, and cancellations. I know that exchanges doesn't really apply to vintage in most cases, but the point is you're probably never going to have an exchange. So personally, I just choose not to worry about it. And in the rare instance that it might come up, you could always just work with that customer and see what it is they want to exchange it for. Because if you're going to accept returns, it's really no different. It's actually better, right? Because they're going to return something, but they're also going to buy something else for you. So in my opinion, an exchange is even better than a return. And if you decide to accept cancellations, my recommendation is to put right here, before item has shipped, because that kind of is just the cleanest way to do it. And you don't have to worry about, you may have already packaged it at that point, but at least you have a cutoff and it hasn't left the building, so to say, and then they want to cancel it. So that's my recommendation if you want to accept cancellations. I love how upbeat and positive even though you're talking about, your restrictions here, you're very upbeat and positive about it, which is always a good thing. And then this is just a little thing, but here you say, please feel free to convo any shipping questions. Customers might not understand what that means because they're not as up with the Etsy lingo as we are. So maybe just change that to please feel free to reach out to me with any shipping questions. They can definitely figure out what that means, and can find where to reach out to you if you say that. That's just one little suggestion. Not a huge deal, more nitpicky. The other thing that I love about your photos right now is how you put this little pumpkin and this little gourd in here. Halloween is tomorrow, just for a reference point of when I'm recording this video. So I love that. That is adding those little holiday touches just here and there, just enough to put, kind of bring a little bit of the holiday spirit in. And I'm probably going to guess that Marcia's going to do the same thing for Christmas, maybe a little bit of holly here and a little bit of tinsel there. I don't know, I'm making that up, but same general idea. I love that. That is perfect. You don't have to go overboard when it comes to, getting your shop looking good for the season. Little pops is all it takes to kind of make your shop look fresh, and you don't have to change all your photos, just the front photo. So, you can do that either with the new items that you're posting and then rearrange them so they're kind of scattered in different places. I think the way Marcia does this is perfect. Love it. And I'm going to choose this cute book with a little pumpkin to do an item review on. This perfect's great. It's going to pop in a search. It's clear and it has the holiday touch to it, and it's a witch to boot. So it's perfectly themed for the holiday as well. I'm actually quite surprised this didn't sell yet. All right, so we've got amazing photos. You have all kinds of photos showing in great detail what's in the book. I don't have any recommendations on how you could have done this any better. I mean, you've got um, the whole dust jacket here, is that what it's called? And the book. You got little showing details in the books and the drawings and kind of a sneak peek of what's in there. I just love how you've done your photos. So I don't have, you even show, you can see right here, you know, the little bit of, I guess, pulling away from the seam. So you're showing, you know, the imperfections as well as the detail. There's really just nothing else I could recommend here. So great photos. And then when we look at your title, your item title, I think this is really good too. Of course, you're putting the date and the name of the book, Dory and the Blue Witch. That's definitely what you want to have in the beginning of your title. So if someone were searching for that book, you would definitely come up in a search. And then you have a more general term here, vintage 1960s children's book. Also a very good long tail keyword. Etsy's current recommendation is that we use 2 to 3 long tail keyword phrases in our item titles. I think your item description is really, really good. I only have a couple of small recommendations here, and that is maybe to consider using bullet points when you are listing out these things here, just to kind of you know, break that up a little bit. And also you have these sections, condition and measures. I would probably put a space between condition and measures just so you're breaking out the sections a little bit more, and making it clear where somebody's eyes can go to find that information. And then the only other tip that I would recommend is in the very beginning of your description, ideally, you want to use your keywords in a natural way written for humans, but also, I shouldn't say but also, I'll come back to what I was thinking, but so in the beginning here, I would maybe use your other phrase here, vintage 1960s children's book, too, at the top of your description. So let me give you an example of what I mean. You could say something like, this vintage 1960s children's book, comma, Dory and the Blue Witch, comma, would be such a fun holiday or Halloween. I would probably say Halloween because that would be a great way to pull this in. Halloween tradition with your children for years to come, or grandchildren. Children, you can even say children or grandchildren. And when you do that, you're using your keywords in a natural way written for humans, but you're also not only bringing emotion into it, because somebody can envision themselves, you know, having that story time and that tradition with their kids. And so whenever you can, two things, when you can bring emotion into it and also suggest a way that it can be used so someone can envision how they'll use it in their life, that those are two great ways to kind of increase your conversions and make somebody more likely to purchase something. Super great job including these links. Definitely you want to include links back to your other items, your sections, your shop, and you do that here to see more children's books. So you go ahead and recommend that they go check out 2 of your other sections, children's books and vintage books, and then you also bring them back to your shop. So that's a wonderful thing to do in your description. So I think, like I said, overall, super great description. Looking at your title or your tags, we're down at the tags now. There's some really good tags here. Kids Bedtime Story, love that one. Patricia Coombs, that's probably the author. Second Printing, Witch Book. These are all really good keywords, but I would recommend combining some of these single ones. You can do that even if they don't make sense together. So you could put Magic Illustrated Dory in one keyword if it'll fit in one tag, because Etsy can still pull out that information from a tag, and that way you are, whenever you can make them combined and make sense, that is ideal. But even if they don't make sense, you can still combine them, and that opens up space for more keywords. And I just made a new video about really I think it's 4 simple ways to come up with keywords. So I'll link that video for everyone as well, so you can check that out if you're stuck on what to use for keywords. All right, that's a wrap for Marcia's review. All of those links that I mentioned are going to be down below in the notes, along with how you can become an Etsy junkie for free and get your own free review. So definitely check that out. Marcia, I just wanted to say that your shop is lovely. And you should be so, so proud. You've been on Etsy since 2010 and stuck through all of those times that so many people said, I'm just going to give up, I'm leaving Etsy. And you know better than anyone how many changes Etsy's been through, and that it pays to stick around and work through those changes. There's always going to be changes, no matter what platform you're on. So why not stick on a platform that actually has proven success? Because even if you're feeling like, you know, I'm not getting any sales, always remember that there are other people out there who are rocking it on Etsy. So it is possible, and you should always fight for that if that's what you want. If you like this video, make sure to give it a thumbs up, subscribe to my channel, and click the little bell as well so you get notified whenever a new video comes out. Thank you so much for joining me today, and have a great rest of your day. Bye!